August 8, 1963, England. A Royal Mail train carrying millions of pounds was traveling through the countryside, completely unaware that a carefully planned ambush was waiting just ahead. In only around 30 minutes, one of the most famous train robberies in history was complete. Millions in cash had vanished, and the thieves disappeared into the darkness. But how did they stop a moving train? How did they bypass security so easily? And what one tiny mistake eventually led police to the gang? Stay with me, because I'm about to break down the entire unbelievable story from beginning to end. On August 8, 1963, a Royal Mail train was carrying cash from Glasgow to London. Inside the train were 120 sealed mailbags, filled with money collected from banks across Britain. Everything seemed like a normal overnight journey. But for months, a gang of criminals had been secretly planning every detail of what would become one of history's greatest train robberies. Instead of using heavy weapons, they relied on careful planning. They covered the real railway signal and placed a fake red signal, forcing the train to stop exactly where they wanted. As soon as the driver stopped the train, the gang moved in. They quickly took control of the locomotive and uncoupled the coach that carried the cash. Nearby, trucks were already waiting. Working with incredible speed and precision, the robbers loaded 120 bags of cash into their vehicles. In roughly 30 minutes, the operation was over. The gang escaped with £2.6 million, making it the largest cash train robbery in British history at the time. At first, it looked like the perfect crime. But after the robbery, the gang hid inside a farmhouse called Leather Slade Farm. Believing they were safe, they relaxed and unknowingly left behind fingerprints and other evidence. That single mistake completely changed the investigation. Identified members of the gang, detectives followed the clues and eventually arrested many of those involved.
Now here's the part that makes this robbery so fascinating. Most people think this was simply a group of lucky criminals, but in reality, luck had very little to do with it. What made the Great Train Robbery so successful was preparation. Reports suggest the gang spent months studying to railway, learning the train schedule, and understanding exactly how the Royal Mail operation worked. They did not randomly choose a train. They targeted one carrying a massive amount of cash, and they picked the perfect location where help could not immediately. What is even more interesting is that they did not rely on heavy weapons or a huge gunfight. Their biggest weapon was information. They knew exactly where to stop the rain, what coach contained the money, and how to leave before police could react. But every perfect plan has one weakness. After escaping, the gang believed they had committed the perfect crime. Instead of disappearing immediately, they stayed together at a farmhouse. Their decision changed everything. Police later discovered fingerprints and other evidence that slowly connected the gang to the robbery. So even though the robbery itself was brilliantly planned, the escape was not perfect. And that is probably the biggest lesson from this story. In history, many famous robberies did not fail because of the robbery itself. They failed because the criminals became overconfident after they succeed. Even today, security experts still discuss this case, not because they admire the crime, but because it exposed weakness. And if you enjoy this story, make sure to subscribe.